clubbing. The activity... Can you turn that off, please? Oh, thank you. The activity of attending a nightclub to dance, to drink and to socialise. There's no mistake. Everyone loves a boogie and a stiff drink once in a while. But should the clubbing be left to the teenagers and those in their early 20s? Should those past 25 stick to the weddings and the bar mitzvahs, where they can show their face and be gone after the main meal? Let's be honest. We all just want to watch Netflix on the sofa and be in bed by 10. Well, maybe, just maybe, we'll do that.
Home by 9 and it's Netflix time. Nice wedding though. Do you think anyone saw us sneak out the back with our pieces of cake?
My clubbing career was at its peak during my time at university. In fact, my life at uni consisted of 3 things: Mario Kart, football and clubbing. I pretty much learnt the Mario Kart racetracks off by heart, I watched and played countless hours of football, and I went clubbing at least twice a week. I got into a bit of a routine: Mario Kart in the day, football in the evening, party at night.
But that was in your free time though, wasn't it? You mostly focused on your university work, didn't you?
I typically went out clubbing on Thursday and Saturday nights. However, the clubbing process actually started on Thursday and Saturday mornings. I'd meet my housemates in the kitchen and we'd converse over a mouldy bag of bread. Having decided the bread was good enough just to pick the mouldy bits off, the chat moved on to the topic of the clubbing that night. Despite living in a house with 6 other guys, we'd usually discuss what we were wearing that night. If someone said they were wearing something a bit rogue, we'd all question whether that was a good idea. And suddenly, despite not knowing anything about fashion, we stepped into the roles of men's fashion gurus. Hey man, you wearing that to go out? Bit rogue? Haven't seen that outfit before. Was that in this week's edition of GQ? Having spent the day watering myself like a plant in preparation for drinking alcohol, pre-drinks fast arrived around 9 PM. Pre-drinks was definitely the best part of my clubbing experience, as I just got to have a laugh with friends where I could actually communicate with all my senses intact. During one pre-drinks, my housemates and I were all sipping alcoholic beverages out of our Lucozade bottles, as you do. Out of nowhere, I felt a squidgy blow to my thigh. I'd been hit, but the ammunition was not anything life-threatening. It was a mini tub of garlic and herb dip. You see, my house got a lot of really crappy pizza takeaways, and by my house, I mean me. I got a lot of crappy pizza takeaways. No matter which shop you bought a subpar pizza from, they'd always send a tub of garlic and herb dip, without fail. Now, with my housemate waging war, the only thing I could really do to keep my dignity was to reply with force, so I threw the dip back. After a while of playfully throwing garlic and herb dip at each other, a ceasefire was agreed and all paperwork was signed. I turned my head celebrating peace, but immediately I felt a squidgy blow to my side once more. How despicable, I thought. How dare he break the terms of the peace treaty? Swift retaliation was the only policy. I grabbed the dip and wound up my throw. It flew through the air elegantly until it landed on my housemate's thigh. The garlic and herb sauce had splattered all over his leg. I guess that's what he deserved. He had no time to change his trousers and went out for the night smelling of garlic and herb dip. It was pretty safe to say he wouldn't find his soulmate that night.
Hey you! Oh wow! What's that aftershave you're wearing? It's intoxicating.
Hey, I call it eau de garlic and herb.
Oh nice. For some reason I'm really craving pizza now.
Having just hit the high note in the song Grace Kelly, the organised housemate who booked the taxi would shout, "Taxi's here!" We'd jump into the taxi and greet the driver, then got straight down to business. Most of the time, there was no meter running in the taxi, so we had to negotiate a price per head. Once we'd wiggled the price down from £2 to £1.50 per person, we'd all look at each other with smug grins like we just won a task on The Apprentice. The ride there was normally quite fun, as we'd make friends with the driver, and sometimes he'd even pump up the tunes for us. Other drivers weren't so friendly. Sometimes when we'd reach the club, the driver would throw us out in the middle of the dual carriageway. Sometimes literally.
Hey, why'd you chuck us out in the middle of the road?
That's for your terrible singing and trying to pay me with an old £1 coin.
The queue to get into a club is an interesting place. It's a place where random people would tell me their deepest, darkest secrets. It's a place where random people would offer to buy me drinks. And it's a place where random people would enter my personal space and speak into my ear. I understood it. It was loud. It's just they weren't particularly invited to breathe their alcoholic breath in my face.
Hey man, how you doing? Really good to see you.
Oh no, I can hear you fine. You don't need to lean in. No, that's fine. You just enter my personal space. I love the smell of other people's vodka breath.
Once the bouncer had looked at my ID like it had killed his family, I would enter the club with my housemates. Straight to the bar we went to buy £1.25 vodballs. We'd then hit the dance floor to cut some shapes. In my favourite club, there were 3 floors. The first floor was cheesy pop, the second floor was a cramped, sweaty room where they'd mainly play hip-hop, and the third floor was a mix of genres. We attended the first floor of this club so much that we eventually knew what song was coming next. They literally never changed their playlist.
I've been played over 10,000 times. Somebody kill me.
The club toilets were an interesting place. You were just completely overwhelmed by the horrid smells which were poorly masked by the toilet attendants' aftershaves. I understand it's the toilet attendants' role to attend people in the toilets, but I just felt heavily watched by them. Sometimes I just couldn't go because I could see them staring at me in the reflection on the wall. Psst. I wonder how long I'm going to stand here pretending to pee. Back on the dance floor, and the more I wooed the ladies with my great dance moves, the more tired I got. Eventually I was just dancing with my eyes closed. But the mention of leaving the club to get cheesy chips opened them wide again. Having belted out all the club classics at the top of my lungs, I'd be ready to leave and I'd skip out the club with cheesy chips on my mind. With the taxi offering a door-to-door service from the club to the chippy, there would be no time before I was smelling the fried foods and seeing the 1-star hygiene rating. However, I think the most painful feeling in the world was realising when you're 20p short for a box of succulent cheesy chips.
Does anyone have 20p I could borrow? And by borrow I mean use for cheesy chips and never give back?
Post-clubbing, the night would usually be rounded off with some karaoke on the PlayStation, or with one of our housemates annoyingly setting the burglar alarm off. See? Annoying! One time, my housemate thought he'd save a few pounds and make his own post-clubbing food. It was toast on the menu. However, in his drunken state, he obviously became full and thought he'd do the sensible thing by putting the rest in the freezer for another day. Yes, toast in the freezer.
The human has deployed advanced and confusing torture methods on me by firstly placing me in a lovely warm toaster and now placing me in a freezing wasteland. I fear I may break and reveal classified information.
To round the night off, I'd slump on my bed with a stomach full of vodballs and cheesy chips. I would always make a pact with myself that I'd never do that again. But that was always broken the week later when I'd start the clubbing process all over again.